markets fantastically on the front foot today. We're up 1.7%. We saw board-based gains, and we saw some really strong movements coming to the fore as well. I mean, Kumba Iron Ore, a gain of 5.4%. Shoprite gaining 4.5%. So a really positive day.
Yeah, I think so. This is sentiment coming through, positive sentiment. We've seen the Japanese companies going back into production, and this is flowing right throughout the markets, not just here, in Europe and the States as well. So it's positive news, good moods in the market. I think that's what we've seen at the moment.
Kumba Iron Ore having such a strong day, up over 5%. We know that it released a report a little earlier in the week talking about the prospects for iron ore in South Africa, saying that South Africa can more than double iron ore production over the next 10 years under suitable growth conditions. That's what
yeah,
they
exactly.
say.
I think this rests on the
delayed
steel
reaction,
price.
do you think, for the market?
A bit of a reaction there. That's come a few days late. But yeah, it's a steel price story here, I think. If there's growth, steel prices, steel demand will be high, and there's going to be demand for iron ore. In a report recently in the Economist, it says that 7 of the top 10 grain countries in the next 10 years is going to be sub-Saharan African countries. So they're in the right space. I can believe that within the next 10 years you'll see iron ore production increase by 50%. Having said that, at the moment, Kumba Iron Ore produce about 75% of the 50 million tons of iron ore produced in the country, so they're in a good position to take advantage of it.
Okay, but Andrew, we know the dark cloud is the Sishen cost plus 3 contract with ArcelorMittal. Based on that premise, would you be looking at Kumba Iron Ore as an investment option, or would you be sitting on the sidelines?
We don't have direct exposure to Kumba Iron Ore. We do have exposure through Anglo American. Obviously, Anglo American is a substantial shareholder in Kumba, so we get exposure through there. Looking at the valuation metrics, Kumba actually does look quite attractive, bearing in mind that there's obviously these mining rights issues with Sishen at the moment.
Let's delve into the likes of Harmony, which was up again in today's session. And I think many investors, especially last week, were saying, no, Harmony's going to come under pressure. It gained 2.6% today. It was up over 4% at one point today. I know you don't own gold. I know you don't like it very much. But when you see that you could have been part of a rally that has come to around 25% over the last week and a half, I'm sure you must be raising your eyebrows.
I think hindsight's, the wonderful thing. If we had known what we knew today, yes, for sure, it would have been nice to have taken or partaken in this rally that we've seen. I think it's up about 30% since the end of January. When's the share going to sit down? I don't know. I think the positive news coming out of here is the Papua New Guinea story. We see that they're in a joint venture with Newcrest Mining, and I think that they put a report on their website, I think 2 days ago, showing that this mine could produce up to 700,000 ounces of gold a year. That's one hell of a lot. In Harmony's life, last year I think they produced about 1.4 million ounces. So this is 50% of what they produced last year. This mine can do on an annual basis. So it's big news. If the reports, obviously we've got to wait for the final report to come through. But
at 102 Rand, would you be buying?
102 Rand, no, I wouldn't be buying. At 75 Rand end of January, we didn't want to buy.
So another stock, Capitec, which has done significantly better than the overall market. And I think a lot of investors as well not taking part of the story. A microlender, retail bank heading into the lower LSM and doing fantastically well. Out with results today. Diluted headline earnings per share jumping 43% to 730 cents.
This is an unbelievable business. How these guys keep on doing it year in and year out, who knows. Their loan book has grown, I think, about 1,000% in the past 3 years. I mean, this is incredible stuff that we've seen from Capitec. Excellent results. I think they've got an ROE of about 30%. When you look at that big 4 banks, they're sitting on an ROE of around about 15%. You're going to expect these guys at some point to move into this space and try and cut some of Capitec's market share. Fantastic business. The problem, though, is all in the price, I think. A good business does not necessarily mean a great investment, and this is what you've seen here. Price to book of 4.5. That's expensive. Yeah.
Okay. Shoprite up 4.5% today, ending the day off at 103 Rand 25 cents. News that it has been cleared by Zambian regulators that it allegedly was threatening suppliers who was dealing with its rival Pick n Pay. Enough reason to buy into Shoprite, or do you think there's some other story that is happening today?
The soft retail shares, all of them look hellishly expensive at the moment. You look at Shoprite, Spar, Pick n Pay, Woolworths, Clicks. These are hellishly expensive. All of them, they're trading on PEs above 20 times earnings. This is very expensive territory. Looking at a through the cycle PE ratio for Shoprite, it's the second most expensive share on the market. The most expensive Naspers trading on a PE of about 70 times, through the cycle earnings PE of 70 times. You don't want to get involved in these at the moment.
Cannon Asset Managers is in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, so you must be smiling.
We're smiling today.
And also, I'm sure, I was listening to an interview with Jim Rogers, I was talking about it a little earlier. He's buying into the Japan story. In fact, he wanted to do so before the tsunami, the earthquake, and the nuclear disaster. So, I mean, you're still buying into the Japanese story and you're holding on tight, I'm sure.
We're holding on tight. It was cheap before the earthquake. It got exceptionally cheap after the earthquake. We haven't increased our exposure there, but we hold about 4 or 5 shares in Japan at the moment. The whole market's looking very cheap. Our thesis here is a weak yen. I'm sure a lot of other people are.
Yes.
That's going to be the catalyst. We hold a lot of export-import trading companies. Toyota as well is a share that we hold there.
Smiling with the yen under pressure today as well today.
A weaker yen coming through does help those shares, and hopefully long may it continue.